the blues. So, if you've been playing music, and if you came at this where you were a little less familiar with the blues, you might ask yourself, how do they get that sound? Because you can't play just a standard major scale and get the full blues effect. And so the other thing you can't do is completely explain it with letters. I've got other videos that talk about, that show this in practice and how to make things sound bluesy. But here we're just going to go through what most people mean if you hear about someone saying, well, I'm going to play a blues scale. So, if you were watching the other videos, you know that the notes have numbers. A, B, C sharp. Oh, we're starting out of our friendly A here. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, on back around to start over. Ad infinitum, and so that would equal an A major scale. Okay? Now, we know that this is insufficient to play the blues, but what gets changed? So, if you watch the video on building seventh chords, then you've got this. Because what people talk about is flat 3 and a flat and seventh. Now, and you know that your numbers here, the third note in your A scale, A major scale, is going to be a C sharp. And so if you flatten that by half a step, what do? You go C sharp to C. Okay? Okay, so that's going to be one change. And then you're going to flatten your 7. By a half step, we're going to go from G sharp to G. Okay? Now, let's put in the rest of the notes. And now look what you've done here. So here's some ways that I think that knowing this theory and knowing scales can help you. So what have you done here? Well, you've made the 3 flat. How do you make a minor scale? It's really what I'm asking. How do you make a minor scale? Well, you make the 3 flat and you make the 7 flat. And you're playing A minor scale. The only difference here between an Aeolian is this is actually going to be an A Dorian minor because you're using an F sharp. But the beauty here is that this equals A Dorian minor. Okay? Now let's say that you've learned a Dorian minor scale. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay? Now, there's a couple ways, but if you haven't, how about if you've learned the G scale. Okay? Because what is this? If you started at G and you counted around, what would it be? G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And that's just the G scale. So even if you haven't learned A Dorian minor, you're like, well, I know the G scale. Well, guess what? You know A Dorian minor, and you know how to make things sound bluesy as well, at least the beginnings of it. Flattening 3 and flattening 7s. Now, these, really what it is that you can do a lot of slides into and out of these flattened 7ths, ups and downs, and sliding around like you would with your voice, but this is a good start. Okay? The other thing that you'll see is, in fact, sometimes the slide, even you flatten your 5th note and slide down, but for the most part, this is plenty. And the other thing to remember here is that you play this scale while the guitars and everybody else is playing a major, okay? You think basically A minor or A Dorian minor. You think I'm going to play out of the key of G while everybody else is playing an A, if you want to think of it that way. But I'm going to just, end on an A note, something like that. But then, just remember though that you're doing this minor-y stuff over top of a major chord. And I will show you now what I mean, just by this scale. So we'll start on this A. You can do it everywhere up and down the neck, but we'll just do it right here. We'll start A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. Okay. Now watch this, and this is going to lead into our next video, but I'm going to start leaving out some of those notes, and you're going to start to hear more blues come in, okay? Alright, even with just little pizzicato thing here that I'm doing on top of the table, and my shoulder rest is revolting, but even with that, you can start to feel some blues because of a little bit of a slide here and there, just using the scale, leaving out some other notes, and then putting just a touch of groove to it, like, something like that. And so, and remember, like everything else, you can always apply this to every single scale. And the same rules about, so for instance, if you want to play a blues scale, let's say, here's a little trick. If you want to play, let's say people are playing out of the key of E, okay? If the blues is out of the key of E, major, you play where? So in A, we said that it's G. So how far away is G from A? We would just count back. We go whoop, and then go backwards to G sharp, to G, so that's 1/2 step, one more half step, that's one whole step. So just go back one whole step to find the scale you're going to use but then land on the note of the key you're in. So you play a D scale, D major scale, and but just end on E. Same rule works for all the keys, all the chords, and give that a try, and you will start to feel how that works, and if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next video.